everyone who's on the call. This is going to be an exciting hour. Okay, I just want to give a little bit of context in terms of how we got here. Okay, it was June of 2014 when I took Carissa's one-day business boot camp, and I'm the seminar queen. So I go in, I'm excited. I go into this workshop thinking that my client are male business owners, because they are who hired me to do accounting work for them. But by the time Carissa got through with me, I walked out of there realizing that my ideal client were women business owners. And that was like a eureka moment for me. They were the ones that were most responsive to information I needed. They paid on time, and they appreciated what I did, which is different from my male clients. And then, so fast forward a year later, I applied for the Agents of Change program. And it just coincidentally, it turned out that the core component of the Agents of Change program is SLAP again, Carissa's methodology. So now I get to implement it over a year. And I got to tell you, I was so eager to grow, especially financially, that I followed every step, that we were told to do. And within the first 6 months, I started to see some growth. But the kicker was that second month. Remember, Carissa, because it went from July 2015 to June 2016.
Yep.
So it crossed years.
Yep.
And so that second set of 6 months, January through June 2016, I had made more in that 6 months than I made the entire July 2015. So that's when I was sold. So at the end of the program, everybody's kissing, hugging, saying bye. It was wonderful. I went up to Carissa and I said, thank you. This was helpful. I got to tell other business owners about it. I got to figure out how to let them know, because this could probably help them. And Carissa said, let's do it. So here we are. Here we are. So I'm going to let her, take the wheel.
Thank you, Tuesday. So first of all, hi, everybody. It's lovely to meet you. Tuesday, you are always such a pleasure. So I just want to say thank you for gathering all of us together. And more importantly, just thank you for being the type of person that takes what you learn, applies it, and then, creates this amazing success. So I am proud of you, and working with people like you is a gift to us. So I just want to make sure that you know that you did what you did. We just helped you. So yes, so we are going to essentially teach all of you guys the same methodology that we've taught Tuesday. That essentially is all about helping small business owners increase their profit and their sustainability. So I'm going to share my screen. We have a lot to talk about, and we are going to try to talk about it in less than an hour. So we're going to do SLAP in an hour. Usually, like Tuesday said, I would like a whole day with you guys. So we're going to go fast. Definitely think of this as an introduction. There's so much that we could say about every single thing I'm going to talk about. And I want this to be very interactive and conversational. And so if you have questions or comments, we have you all muted. That is only because, there's the realities of background noise and different things that happen. And so if you have any questions, just enter the chat. I'm actually going to monitor the chat as I'm teaching. And so just know that if you have anything that you want me to answer, if you have a specific question in general or for your business, we're going to answer them. So we're going to try to be as interactive as possible. We're going to try to be as practical as possible. And we're going to try to fit as much information into this 1 hour together that we have as we humanly can. So let's dive in. So what is this all about? I'm the founder of Silver Lining. I started it actually over 12 years ago. So I have been doing this for a long time. And my big thing and our entire team's mission is really around changing the success rate of small businesses. As you probably know, if you're a small business owner, the shocking stat in small business is that 80% of small businesses fail. They don't succeed. And that is just mind-boggling to me, because after the last 12 years of working with small businesses, nonstop, business owners are smart and creative and inspiring and work so hard. And so I started with this real fascination. How can it be true that so many amazing people end up not succeeding? What is going on when there's something that systemic? There's something going on that we've got to get to the root of. And so our mission is to change that stat so that 80% of small businesses succeed as opposed to fail. The other reason that this is so motivating for me, certainly, and for everyone on our team is that, when I think about, just justice in the world at large, and I think about issues around access to good education, access to good jobs, access to, thriving communities to live in, access to an economy where, everyone has a chance of success, and the wealth divide's not growing, but rather we're all, equal. I think the answer to all of those problems are small business. And I really mean that. I think that when we see small businesses grow, we see more kids going to school, more jobs created, more communities growing, and more economies growing. And so I say that to you both as an understanding of who we are and where we come from, but also as a challenge to each of you on this phone call. I'm very passionate about the fact that every single small business owner has both the privilege and the responsibility to create a profitable and a sustainable business. And the point of building a profitable, sustainable business is not so that we all get rich, although that would be great. But the point of building a profitable, sustainable business is that we can be leaders. We can hire more people. We can create great lives for our families. We can invest in our communities. We can create a more evened out economy. And so I just think that for a million reasons, helping small businesses succeed is necessary. It's not just necessary. We have to do it. And each of us play a part. Each of us, like Tuesday has done, each of us making a choice to get serious about our business and grow it, we each then play a part in this global picture that we live in. And bottom line is we're committed to changing the economy one small business at a time. So that's us. That's where we come from. In the last 12 years, we've spent a lot of time and a lot of energy working with a lot of small businesses. So we've worked with about 10,000 small businesses from 9 countries around the world, developed and developing countries. And all of it has been around this SLAP methodology, helping small businesses use our methodology to change how they're operating, to defy the odds, to build profitable, sustainable businesses. And we've been lucky enough to partner with hundreds of amazing partner organizations who have partnered and collaborated with us to help the small businesses that they know grow. And so Tuesday has become this amazing person in our world where not only is she a SLAPster, where she's growing her business, where she's being serious about her own growth, but then she's also partnering with us to bring this out, to more small businesses, which was what brought us here today. So thank you, Tuesday. So let's get right into it. Why do small businesses fail? Now, like I said, we've worked with a lot of small businesses in our time. And when I started the business 12 years ago, I really did not know anything about small business. I was 22, I was working in advertising, and I was really just, what motivated me is that I was, struck with this conundrum that so many people in the corporate world had given up their passion largely, to have security and a steady paycheck and, all the things that come with a corporate job. And then so many people in the entrepreneurial space, all these small business owners that I kept meeting had given up security and stability, to pursue their passion, to do what they felt they were called to do. And so I was really frustrated by that. I didn't want to have to give up my passion or money. I wanted to make money doing what I loved. And so, I quit my job with this big mission to help more people make money doing what they loved, really focused on helping these inspiring, amazing business owners that I kept meeting, turn their big ideas into something that was profitable and sustainable. So when I first started the business, I at least knew that I didn't know what I was talking about, and I didn't know how to solve this problem that I saw. And so I interviewed 400 small business owners right away when I first started. And this, again, was over 12 years ago. And what was so interesting is that I interviewed business owners of all shapes and sizes, different industries, different genders, different years in business, different types of things that they were selling and offering and business models. I mean, really, really diverse businesses, very few similarities between any of them. But the pattern that emerged is that regardless of the business, although all their kind of demographic details were totally different, the two things that every single one of those 400 business owners said to me, and it's the same thing I hear with every one of the thousands of businesses that we've worked with since, are that they didn't have enough time and they didn't have enough money. They never had enough, their cash flow was always an issue. They always wished they had more money so they could invest in their growth and do more things. And they always wish they had more time. They never had enough time to do everything on their to-do list and keep up with the demands of their calendars and their lives and their emails and their families and their staff and their customers. There was always this demand on their time. So then I thought, okay, well, this is clearly the pattern, right? Time and money are the things that are struggles for business owners. So then I started to ask, well, how do we help you create more time? How do we help you create more money? And what I heard over and over again is, well, if I had more money, I could create more time. If I had more money, I could hire more people. I could invest in systems or processes or software or things that make me more efficient. I could create more time if I had more money. Okay. So then how do we create more money? Well, I need more time. If I had more time, I could do more business development. I could service more customers. I could grow the business in different ways. And so we call this conundrum that we uncovered, all these years ago, the cash flow capacity catch-22. And the cash flow capacity catch-22 is something that is, the grand irony of small business. And I think that this is why so many small businesses fail. Businesses are not failing because your idea is not good enough, or you're not smart enough, or the market's not ready. Those things are not factors. What happens, and the reason small businesses fail, is that the business owner eventually either runs out of money or runs out of time or runs out of money. And that plays itself out into, credit cards being maxed, or, accounts receivable being too hard to collect and just literally having no more money, or burning out. The end result of never having enough time is that you exhaust yourself and you burn out and you realize that you just don't want to keep going. So businesses are rarely failing because the business can't work. Businesses are failing because the business owner runs out of resources and calls it, essentially. So what we want to help you do is prevent that. We want to help you figure out how to spend your time and your money in exactly the right ways so that you protect these two precious resources so that you succeed. Because I believe that success is totally possible for any business owner. That is one thing that I have learned that makes me feel really excited, is that I think any business owner can succeed. I think any idea can work. I think any business is possible. I really believe that. And so if that's true, then how do we crack the code on that? Now, growth, ironically, if you want to grow your business, growth requires two things. It requires time and money. So here's the grand conundrum. You don't have enough time and you don't have enough money. You never will. I've been in business for 12 years. I still don't have enough time and money. It's not about how long you've been in business or how successful you are. It's just the fact that if you are trying to grow your business, you don't have enough time and money to start with. And the two things that are required to grow a business are, in fact, more time and money. And so we're constantly playing with squeezing this cash flow capacity catch-22 in our attempts to grow our business. Now, what this often looks like in an unhealthy way, when we're not managing our time and our money properly, what it typically turns into, the cash flow capacity catch-22, is planning paralysis, where there's so much to do, there's so many decisions to make, there's so many opportunities that you don't know what to say yes and what to say no to, that you just get into planning paralysis. Planning paralysis looks like either one, kind of not ever making big decisions, or spending tons of time in strategy meetings, or constantly, building a new plan and then never really implementing it. That is a symptom of cash flow capacity catch-22. The other symptom of cash flow capacity catch-22, which so many entrepreneurs fall into, is just action frenzy. We're going to networking events. We're going to this thing. We're doing this thing. We're sending this out. We're starting a blog. We're running a social media campaign. We're just running around like chickens with our heads cut off, trying to create opportunity. That also is a symptom of cash flow capacity catch-22. Planning paralysis and action frenzy are not going to help you. They are going to drive the cash flow capacity catch-22 wheel tighter and tighter and tighter, and essentially put you into a real risk. And so, just one thing to think about, if you want to enter into the chat, we'll do a little, public service poll. What's your go-to, right? Do you get into planning paralysis, or do you get into action frenzy when you are not operating at your best, version of self? I do both, actually. I can spin into planning paralysis, where I just plan and plan and plan and plan. And I also certainly can spin into action frenzy, where I am doing a million things, and I realize that I'm not monitoring and protecting my time and my money. So this is what's going wrong in our businesses. I'm curious to hear if you can relate. I think most small business owners can relate to never having enough time, never having enough money, and falling in between planning paralysis and action frenzy. So what's the alternative to that? How do we do that differently? What I realized in all this time, I've been studying essentially behavior change science for well over a decade. And really, behavior change is an age-old problem, right? If our bodies need to get more fit, we know roughly what to do. We need to eat better and work out. That's the basic stuff. And we all know basically what to do. And yet oftentimes we just don't do it, right? And so what's so interesting about behavior change science is that our assumption would be that when we want something, when we want an outcome, we'll do the things that we need to do to get that outcome. But what behavior change science tells us is it doesn't work that way. Even though we want something, and even if we sort of know what we need to do to get it, we as our human behavior, very rarely do we have the internal self-discipline to just do all the right things, at all the right times to get the results that we want. And so the reason that behavior change has become such a popular field, and the reason that there's so many books out there like The Power of Habit and all of these books that are trying to teach us essentially how to do behavior change for ourselves, is because we need external structure. So there's many, many schools of science around this, but essentially what everyone mostly agrees on are these pillars of behavior change, that in order to get a different result, whether that's you want to lose weight, whether that's you want to grow your business, whatever it may be that you want a different result in, there's a couple of things that you really need around you in order to succeed. You need a commitment. You need to actually commit. So, what Tuesday talks about is, taking an actual commitment, committing to goals, committing to structure, committing to accountability. I always say that when I talk to most small business owners who tell me that they want to grow their business, and when I hear what they're actually doing differently in order to grow their business, I always, in my head or out loud will say, that sounds more like a wish or a hope or a dream than a commitment. A commitment is someone saying, these are my goals and this is what I'm doing to get there, and this is the support I put in place to make sure I actually do it. A wish or a hope or a dream sounds something like, I want to build a multi-million-dollar business, or I want to, grow by 10% next year, or I'm going to grow my business, right? We talk about growing our business in these casual terms. Nothing happens like that. I always say to people, I can't give you a silver bullet to grow your business. I can give you a silver lining, but growing your business requires a real commitment. Like getting fit requires a real commitment. You have to both have a goal and then you have to show up. And that's where these other things come in. You have to set modest goals. You have to rigorously track your behavior. You have to build self-efficacy. You have to obtain counseling and coaching. You have to have fellow participants and support and a place to talk about what's working and what's not working and confess and share and celebrate all of that. And you ultimately have to instill new habits in order to get different results. And so much of what drives me crazy about what's going on in the small business space is that we're all reading books and we're going to seminars and we're going to workshops and we're getting inspired, and all of that's wonderful. I don't want to say that that's not good, but it's not enough. What we've learned over these last 12 years is that we really, all of us as humans, but in this particular instance of talking about how to grow a business, we actually need behavior change programs. We need long-term programs to develop habits that result in long-term growth. How many of you have gone to an inspiring workshop and thought, oh my God, this is going to change how I do everything? And then the next day, your emails come in and your clients start calling and you've got all these regular realities of life, and you just go back to the same behavior because we're humans and that's what we do. So I don't want to just teach you guys something. I want you to actually develop different habits that actually create long-term growth for you. I want our impact on you to be long-term sustained growth. And that's why we always talk about this idea of being profitable and sustainable. The second thing is, there's so many resources out there to help you build a business plan. My, sort of counter small business culture perspective is that the idea of a business plan is actually largely antiquated at this point. The idea that you build a 5 or 10-year plan that's 100 pages long, it doesn't make any sense. The world is moving so fast right now. And so I think you need an action plan, not a business plan. You don't need a plan that puts you into more planning that then sits on a shelf. You need to have some structure around key decisions about what you're trying to accomplish with your business, and then have that structure become a filter to drive you into the right action. And so that's what I'm passionate about. What's the filters that you need and the structure that you need to make good choices that keep you in the right action? Not action frenzy, not planning paralysis, but smart, healthy action. The other thing is, one of the grand ironies of business is that so many business owners are amazing at what they do, but they're not amazing at growing a business. Growing a business is a skill. And so maybe you're an accountant like Tuesday. Maybe you're a plumber. Maybe you're a bakery owner. Maybe you're a shoe designer. Whatever you might be, you're amazing at what you do, and that's probably what prompted you to start a business. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you're de facto amazing at knowing how to grow a business. And so I think that growing a business is a skill. And so you need training. You need to be trained on the skills of how to build a profitable, sustainable business. And then this is the one I'm really passionate about. All of us need full year support structures to get results, not just more information, not just more inspiration, but support, accountability. I use this analogy all the time. People laugh at me, but I have like 2 therapists. I have a personal trainer. I have a gym where I go to group classes because I know that I do well with group accountability. Every time I have a new goal, I actually call 5 people and I just say it out loud because I know that if in my head I'm going to do something, it's never going to happen. But when I start to say it out loud, when I put structure and accountability around myself, I do everything that I say I'll do as long as I've got that support structure. And so I became really passionate about that when I was building Silver Lining, because oftentimes being a business owner is a little bit lonely. Oftentimes, we don't have people that we can say the good and the bad to. We can't express our fears and our dreams. We can't say out loud what we're going to do and then have someone else hold us accountable. And so this is the part of what we do that I'm most passionate about. I'm going to teach you the methodology, but it doesn't matter unless you implement it. And so you're going to hear me talk nonstop about how action is so important. If you're not implementing this, then quite frankly, even by being on this webinar, you're wasting your time. You're wasting an hour of your day, which is actually not what I want you to do. So I want to help you take this information and implement it. So our methodology, really simple, is 5 steps. First, you create a SLAP statement. Lots of people have vision statements and mission statements and elevator pitches. I think a lot of that can be a little bit baloney. What you need to know is 3 things. What do you do? Who do you do it for? What scale do you do it on? We're going to come back and talk about that. Next, you need to know who your ideal client is. Tuesday talked about this, right? We don't have enough time and money to market to everybody. That's not the reality of a small business owner. So we need really specific and very focused clarity on who it is our ideal client is. And then we need to spend all of our time and our money talking to that person, connecting with them over and over and over again. So we're going to talk about that more. Then you have to set a 1-year financial goal. One of the most fascinating stats in all of our business is that in the last 12 years, working with thousands of small businesses, only 2% of those small businesses have an accurate understanding of their finances. So here's the good news. If you feel like you're not totally crystal clear on your expenses, your profit margins, your revenue goals, your sales goals, if that's not crystal clear, the good news is that you're in really good company. You are like 98% of other business owners in the world. The bad news is that we've got to change that, right? We've got to change that stat. If you're running a business, you have to understand the numbers of it. One of the things that I talk about a lot is that, being a business owner means you're making money. Hobbies cost money, businesses make money. And it's normal for businesses to have years where maybe you don't make money. But in general, we've got to have our eye on the prize around what's going to turn this into a profitable, sustainable business. Because you can't have the impact that you want to have if you're struggling, if you don't have all of that happening. The 4th step is your action plan. So one of the number 1 questions we hear is, well, how do I find more customers? How does that happen? And what we always then say is, well, you've got to go connect with them. You've got to go get into the world and you've got to find them. So your action plan is literally a quarter by quarter broken into a monthly list of your action items, the strategic things that you need to do to go out into the world in order to connect with that ideal client, in order to hit your sales goals. And this is what I mean about an action plan. An action plan needs to help you think about, what's the big picture you're trying to accomplish, but then break that all the way down into these very bite-sized actions that you can take that will actually help you hit your goals, okay? And then, of course, you've got to execute it. So in our world, building a plan like this should take like 5 or 6 hours. And then you need to implement it for 365 days. So many times we put such an emphasis on the plan and we think, well, we've got a plan. Great. But no, building the plan is like 0.1% of the process. we've got to build you the right plan. It's really important. But the rubber hits the road when you're actually implementing it, when you're taking day-to-day action and developing the habits that will actually result in you hitting the goals. You know, the number of times that we hit goals and then we either forget about them or we just don't hit them and we think, oh, well, you know, that is not how to do this. I believe that once you set a goal, you hit it. And you constantly, you hustle, you adjust, you strategize, you get creative, you adjust your behavior if you need to, but you hit that goal and you just figure out how. One of the things that I'm really passionate about is this idea that we need to be people that ask how, not if. If you walk around asking if you will hit your goals, if you will realize your dreams, if you might do what you want to do, you're not going to do it. The second if enters the equation, it's over. But if you constantly ask how, okay, I've got these goals. This is what I want to do. How am I going to do it? It always puts you into problem solving mode, right? We're always going to have problems. That's fine. Problems are not a worry. How we respond to them is what is the difference between someone who hits their goals and someone who does not. So I probably have 3 problems a day, right? All the time. I mean, that's what happens when you run a business. And the bigger the business gets, the more problems that you have, ironically. So, you know, my job, the bigger silver lining has become and the bigger our team has become, the more I spend my time in problem solving mode almost all the time. And the difference that I can see in my team and our customers, even in my own mindset, is that when we approach the problem with if, we're done. When we approach it with how, we solve it and we hit our goals. So the point of the methodology is not to just build a good plan. The point of the methodology is to build a plan quickly in like 5 hours that you then action for the next year. And that as you action it and as you implement it, you learn and you grow and you optimize and you strategize and you develop new behavior and you hit your goals. All of this is about you hitting your goals. That's all that matters. So let's just talk about each of these steps. And what I'd love for you guys to do is actually get out a pen and paper and actually start building your SLAP. You know, the beauty of SLAP is that it's really straightforward. And so as we go, you guys can actually start to build the skeleton of your SLAP live right now. So the SLAP statement has 4 fill in the blanks. It has what you do, who you do it for, the scale that you do it on, and that's it. So if I was going to fill this in for Silver Lining, so the first fill in the blank is the company name. So Silver Lining sells SLAPs to James on a global scale. So let me just, again, I could talk about this for so long, but let me give you the breakdown. My what is what I actually do. We sell SLAPs. That's all we do. Now we sell them in multiple ways and there's lots of different programs and there's lots of different pricing and we speak a lot and we have books about SLAP. You know, we have all these different ways that you can experience SLAP. But at the end of the day, that's what we do. It's not more fancy than that. We sell SLAPs, okay? James, our ideal client is an existing business owner who has existing revenue, who's been in business for at least 2 years, who wants to grow. Now, our ideal client in our case is male. You heard Tuesday talk about how hers is female. She had a eureka moment. But for very different reasons, our ideal client is male because oftentimes they're willing to pay for our help. They follow what we say to do. They don't overanalyze it. And we have data that shows that on average, our male customers have a higher conversion rate and a higher profit margin. Now, that doesn't mean we don't help women. But if we're going to spend our time and our money going into the world to find more customers, we just know that from a pure business point of view, our ideal client's male, okay? Now, on a global scale, we're determined to build a global business. We have staff in 10 countries. We have customers in 10 countries. Everything we do is virtual. We accept multiple currencies. You know, every decision that we make about how we market, how we build our infrastructure, how we build our team, all of it is through the filter of the fact that we knew from the day we started this business that we wanted it to be global. We wanted to help businesses around the world. And so the simplicity of your SLAP statement is that when you know what, your who, and your scale are, you can make instant decisions about when to say yes and when to say no and how to protect your time and your money. So if we go all the way back to the beginning of what I talked about, where time and money are our most precious resources, and the hardest thing is to know when to spend our time and when to protect our time and when to spend our money and when to protect our money, your SLAP statement becomes your filter. It becomes your yes or no. So let me give you a couple of examples. Someone says to me, Crystal, will you fly to St. Louis and speak to a bunch of startup women entrepreneurs about being a woman in business, okay? Am I talking about SLAP? No. Is James in the room? No. Is it global in scale? No. So I could not, in good conscience, as a business owner, make the decision to go do that event if I was filtering it through my SLAP statement. So it's not a good business decision. It's not a good investment of our company time and money. Now, if someone said to me, Crystal, will you come speak at this global convention? Will you do a SLAP session? Will you do a seminar where you teach the methodology? It's for existing growing small business owners. Well, that's 3 yeses. And those are the moments where you take your time and your money, you invest them, whatever they are, and you go for it. So your SLAP statement becomes this very simple filter for when to say yes, when to say no. I probably use my SLAP statement, I want to honestly say 20 times a day. My team, my customers, my friends, our partners, new people that I meet will constantly bring new ideas and new opportunities to me. And all I have to do is say, SLAP James Global. Yes, yes, no, 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 yes, 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 no, no, no. And instantly I can make a decision, which keeps me out of planning paralysis. It keeps me out of action frenzy, and it keeps me in smart action, the type of action that will help me hit my goals ultimately. Now, if there's times when opportunities come my way and they don't filter through my SLAP statement, right? They're not a good match. I can then make a decision as a human being to still do it. But if I'm doing it, if I'm taking my time and my money and I'm doing something that doesn't match my SLAP statement, I just have to acknowledge that I'm just doing it as a human because I want to. I'm not fooling myself and I'm not pretending that it's a business development activity. One of the primary things that we see happen with small business owners is they're doing a ton of stuff under the guise of business development, pretending that they're doing networking, business development, all of these different things, when in actuality, it's not business development if it doesn't match your SLAP statement. If you're not doing activities that match your what, who, and scale, then you're not doing business development. And so we do a lot of lying to ourselves as business owners. And when I look at what's happening and when I look at where people are wasting time and their money, it's typically in the networking field. So just think to yourself right now, how many networking events have you been to recently that would actually match your filter of your SLAP statement? And it kind of is an eye-opener. Now, the other thing I just want to say about SLAP statement is that, again, usually we spend a lot of time on this step. Getting so clear, there's a quote out there that someone said, if I had more time, I would have written a shorter letter. Getting to the level of total simplicity is actually very complicated. It takes a long time. And so don't assume that this is like a 2-second exercise and you're done. Oftentimes it requires some evaluation. It requires some thinking and some soul searching to get to the point where you really name the correct, the accurate what, who, and scale that you have and want for your business. And so this seems so elementary, but it actually is very profound. Takes some deep thinking, takes some analyzing, and it also requires you really making some choices. In 12 years in business, we've dramatically changed our business model over time, but we've never changed our SLAP statement. And that's allowed us to become experts in what we do. We've been figuring out how to how to SLAP small businesses, how to SLAP James on the global scale for 12 years. And we don't do anything else. We just do that. And so we're really good at it now, but we wouldn't have been really good at it if every time something wasn't working, I changed my what, or I changed my who, or I changed my scale. So often we react by changing these fundamental pillars of our business. And so it seems elementary, it seems simple, but this is where you're putting a stake in the ground. This is you getting serious about what this business is going to do, who it's going to do it for, the scale you want to build it on. And this is the foundation that everything else gets built upon. So this has to be accurate. It has to be truthful. It has to tell the truth of the vision you have for your business. Okay? Now, step 2 is your ideal client. Here's the common situation. The common situation of your ideal client is that you're afraid to miss out on any potential revenue. You try to be all things to all people. You offer products and services outside of your core expertise just to get that check in the door. Often you end up diluting your message and your sense of specialty because of that. We spread ourselves too thin in terms of our time because we're trying to do too many things. And we just can't spend enough time or money ever to make our voice heard in the whole wide world. Advertising budgets are billions of dollars to build, a brand awareness that is vast enough to hit the whole world. And so what's happening in so many small businesses is that because we're afraid to miss out on an opportunity, we try to be available to every opportunity. And there's this grand irony, and it sounds so counterintuitive, and it feels like it doesn't make sense, but it's true, that the businesses that are the most focused, the businesses that have the most succinct what and the most succinct who, your ideal client, are the ones that grow the fastest. And the ones that have these really general offerings and these really general target markets really struggle to grow because they're swimming and trying to be something to everyone. It doesn't work. The number one thing that I think shifts a business from kind of swimming in cash flow capacity catch-22 to getting into growth mode is naming their ideal client, being totally on purpose about this, owning it, being relentless about it, and going for it. So how do you do that? Or let me slap realities. Okay, one more little push on this one. The bottom line is you do not have enough time and money to talk to everyone. You don't. None of us do. I don't. You don't. None of us do. Oftentimes, most of the time, you don't even like the clients that are outside of your core area of expertise. Sometimes I do this all the time. I've got a bleeding heart. I take on customers that are not James, or I take on projects that are not totally SLAP, but that use SLAP methodology. And it never works. It never works the way it's supposed to because it's outside of what we're so freaking good at. And so I always get myself in trouble. Whenever I don't live by my own rules, I get myself into a lot of trouble. And honestly, I promise you, based on years of data, the businesses with the most defined ideal client grow the fastest, really. So how do you identify your ideal client? Here are the attributes of your ideal client. That your ideal client is, number one, someone who pays you happily. Number two, someone who values your work. Number three, people who tell their friends about you and send new business, right? Your ideal client knows other people who are your potential ideal client and they talk about you. And you enjoy working with them, number four, right? Why would any of us spend our precious time and money essentially trying to get customers that we don't actually just enjoy working with? We own our businesses. The whole point is that we should be able to enjoy it, this ride that we're on. And so these are your ideal clients. Your ideal clients pay you. They value you. They tell other people about you, and you like them. It doesn't sound that complicated, and yet, if you do an audit of your existing customers, oftentimes it's hard to find a solid percentage that fit these four criteria. That's what we want to change. All of your customers should look like this, okay? So the homework that you would have, and we're going to send you guys this recording so that you can rewatch it and you can pause on this sheet and you can do this at home. But the way that you think about who your ideal client is you build a spreadsheet. You literally just, you can do it by pen and Excel, whatever you want to do. You can do it in our software. But you make a list of all of the people who have been your customers now or in the past who are your ideal client, who fit that criteria. And then you answer these questions. Are they male or female? How old are they? Are they married? Do they have kids? What kind of job do they have? Where do they live? What's their hobbies? What's the last thing they read? And you will be astounded. It's a little bit like magic, how patterns start to evolve. And you realize that you may have, like Tuesday happened, right? You may have a totally different ideal client than you thought. Don't be confused by volume. Don't be confused by the number of inquiries you get, right? At the end of the day, who's paying you? Who do you enjoy? Who values you? Those are your ideal clients. And oftentimes they're a subsegment of your customers that maybe you haven't even thought about or noticed. And oftentimes we have ideas of who our ideal customers are that are different than what they really are. But the data tells you the truth. And then once you understand who they are, then we can go find them, okay? So step 3, your 1-year goal. So this is where I have a lot of passion about this topic because as I said earlier, we've come to realize that so many small business owners don't have a deep understanding of their finances. They're not operating with goals. And so if you're not operating with financial goals, it makes sense that your business may not be growing financially. So the whole idea with your 1-year goal is that you need to create a goal that's measurable. You need to create a goal that's aggressive but realistic. And a goal is not just a dollar amount or a percentage increase. A goal is actually a number of sales that you need to make to hit your financial goals, okay? So it's really detailed. So the irony, and this is something I'm sure Tuesday has a lot to say about as an accountant, and as someone who really helps people understand their numbers, their actuals and their numbers and what's going on, but you've got to know your expenses. Before you can start the dreaming and the fun of talking about your revenue, you've got to understand your expenses. What does it actually cost you to run your business? So first you start with your personal expenses. Now, a lot of businesses, regardless of how big or small they are, they mishmash their business and their personal expenses. So philosophically, that's not right. Regardless of whether it's all in the same bank account or different bank accounts, I don't really care about your bank account, but I care about you understanding what are your true personal expenses? What does it cost you to run your life? Number one, that's got to be what your salary is at a minimum. So a good, profitable, sustainable business pays its president a salary. Your salary has to cover your living expenses, okay? So number one, what does your salary need to be? That's the first thing. And then number two, you start to understand your business expenses. And the first thing in your list of business expenses is your salary, okay? We've got to be building businesses that cover your expenses. Minimum, right? We want profit too, but as a start, that's the break even. So what is the break even number? What is the minimum amount of money that you need to bring in to cover all of your business expenses, with your business expenses including your president's salary? Step one. Now we get to evaluate your revenue, okay? We call these your revenue streams. What are all the things that you sell? How much do you actually make when you sell those things? What parts of your business are best to grow? What parts of your businesses are not? How many units of sale do you have to make at the very least to break even? So what's so interesting, and I've been through this, one year we made, this is a sad story. 1 year early on, I was a good salesperson, and so I got lots of business in the door. And so we had about $4 million in revenue. We had tons of revenue, right? And so on the surface, we were so successful. We had all this staff and all these offices and all this money coming in. But when I actually looked at what it cost to then manage the business, our profit margin was essentially zero. We weren't making any money. So we had all this revenue, we were doing all this work, and ironically, as we were growing the business, our profit margins were decreasing because we were adding in middle management, we were adding in new expenses. And so we were making great revenue, but our business model was not profitable, and it certainly was not sustainable. The bigger we got, the more problems I had. And so I had to tear that business down. Essentially, I kept my SLAP statement, but I totally tore down that business, and I started again thinking about not just revenue, but profit. How much do I actually make when I make a sale, right? Am I building a business that is sustainable, that the bigger it gets, the more healthy it becomes? And so many small business owners are not doing that level of analysis. So what happens is we're growing our businesses, but that does not necessarily mean that you're becoming more profitable or more sustainable. And so growth isn't just about increasing revenue or increasing the number of employees you have, which are kind of the external factors that we get judged based on, right? So many of the awards and the magazines, everyone's always talking about revenue and employee count. But revenue and more employees does not equal sustainability and profit. And so my challenge to you would be that you've got to be asking these types of questions, doing a deep analysis of your business so that you actually understand if you're profitable and sustainable. My belief is that growing a business with lots of revenue and lots of employees is absolutely no indicator of success. In fact, sometimes it's more worrisome. You've got more expenses, and you're not building something sustainable. I want to know that what your business model needs to look like, what your pricing needs to be, what your variable costs need to look like, what your profit margin needs to be, so that you're profitable. And more importantly, so that as you grow, you become increasingly sustainable. That is a healthy business. Anything less than that is not healthy. And that's why we're failing. That's why so many small businesses are failing. Okay? So, and then there's always got to be a reality check. Once you see the number of sales that you have to make, to be healthy, to cover your break-even number, you want to be asking strategic questions every year as you set these goals. Can you actually produce the number of units of each of your revenue stream? Can you actually sell that number? Sometimes we see people building SLAPs, and the number of customers that they have to serve, or the number of contracts that they have to sell, or the number of units of their product that they have to sell, they don't have the capacity to actually create or deliver on. There's not enough hours in the year to do it. So, these are where these reality checks come in, and where the jigsaw of really figuring out the magical equation of the right expenses for your business, the right sales price for your business, the right revenue streams, the right profit margins, right? What do those actually need to look like? in order to get to success, okay? Is there a revenue stream that should be eliminated, right? If you're doing a business, if you're growing revenue but not profit, just stop doing that. That doesn't make any sense, right? Should you add new revenue streams? Can you make something more profitable? Can you reduce your expenses in some way? You know, these are the types of questions that you should be strategically analyzing to build a really healthy business. This is all part of, you know, the SLAP process of setting that really clear financial goal. All right, now the action plan. How do I go find more customers? Number one, you take your year, you break it into 4 quarters, okay? So 1 year is too long. It's too ambiguous. So you need to have your year broken into these 4 chunks that are 3 months long each, where you can kind of wrap your head around it in a really practical way. First thing is, so many times we build marketing plans or sales plans without any context for what's going on in the world around us, right? So first thing we say is, if Q1 is August, September, October, well, what's happening in August, September, October, right? School's back, Halloween, American Thanksgiving, Canadian Thanksgiving, American Columbus Day, summer's starting in the Asia Pac part of the world. I mean, there's all these things that are happening in the world around us. We can't ignore those things. We have to look at what's happening and then ask, what are the realities of how all those things that are happening, how do those impact us and our business, and how do those impact our ideal client? Because we have to have that information to then think about how we go and we connect with our ideal client. Then you have to connect with them. If I make one request of you guys today, although I have many requests so far, but if I have one other request I can make of you, stop thinking about marketing and stop thinking about selling. Think about connecting. How do you connect with your ideal client, right? No one wants to be marketed to. We're overwhelmed with marketing these days. No one wants to be sold to, right? Oh, we're over it. But people want to be connected with. Here's the power of understanding your what and your who, right? I know that I sell slaps, and I know that James is my ideal client. I just know it. And so I also know what James's problems are and his needs are, because I see James all day long. I know that it's hard to grow a small business. I know what cash flow capacity catch-22 looks like. I know it's hard to find new clients. I know it's hard to figure out how to build a business model that's profitable and sustainable. I get it. I know these problems. I've been dealing with them for 12 years. And so what that means is, I don't have to market to James and I don't have to sell to James. I simply have to connect. I have to go figure out where James is. I have to show him that I understand the challenges he faces. I have to show him how I can help him. And if he wants my help, he's going to buy a slap. If he doesn't want my help, then he doesn't have to buy one. But I'm not marketing to the world. I'm not selling to everyone. I'm connecting with James. And I'm connecting with James based on the need he has that I really want to solve, right? I've invested blood, sweat, and tears to build SLAP because I care. I care about James. I care about the problem that he has. I actually want to help him solve it so that he can make money doing what he loves, and so he can have the life he wants, and so he can, be a leader and change the economy. I want to do that for James. And so I don't want to market or sell to him. I want to connect with him. I want to find him. I want to understand his needs. I want him to know that I am here and that I understand his needs, and I want to offer him a solution. And if my solution works for him, amazing. We'll do business together. If my solution doesn't work for him, we won't. No problem. But there's a difference to understanding the needs of your ideal client and really passionately believing that you have a solution to those needs, and then connecting with your ideal client to offer them a solution to a problem that you know they have. That is effective. That is connecting. Versus marketing and sales and all these kind of schmarmy things we get taught to do that quite frankly don't work. So how do you connect with your ideal client? You might connect with them through media, through events, through referrals, through loyalty, through special deals, through partnerships, online. There's all of these amazing ways that you can connect with your ideal client. And they look like marketing strategies, but we have our own spin on all of those for how you do them in a really authentic way and in a way that does not cost any money. Let me tell you something, my friends. You do not have to spend money finding new customers. You have to spend a bit of time, but not a lot. You can connect in an authentic way that doesn't have to cost a lot of money. And so that's the reality. So you figure out, which of those connecting strategies you want to use, and you implement one connecting strategy per quarter. So you've got 4 quarters, one connecting strategy per quarter. So it's almost like you're running 4 connecting campaigns a year to go find new customers, to go find and connect with your ideal client. Once you've done that, you take your big 1-year goal and you break it into 4 quarterly goals strategically. Then you take your 90-day campaign, your connecting strategy, and you break that into monthly action items. So not just are you going to do, an events quarter where you host a bunch of events for your ideal client. No, you're going to know that in month 1, you're going to do these 20 things. In month 2, these 20 things. In month 3, these 20 things. And then you take your monthly action items and you break those into weekly to-dos. And you literally have a guided plan for how you're going to get to your end result. And here's the deal. The bottom line, the rule of SLAP is that your actions equal results, period. Whatever results you're getting are because of the actions that you're taking, period. There's no other way around this. There's no fancy formula or no workaround. So if you're getting the results you want to be really aware of, well, what am I doing? How am I spending my time and my money that's working? And how do I optimize that and do more of it and keep getting better results? If you're not getting the results that you want, then you've got to look at your actions, and you've only got 1 of 2 things. You've got to stop doing what's not working, and you've got to start doing what might work better. So you've got to change your actions. And so the rule of SLAP is that this is really about discipline. This is about being so kind of clear in your thinking that when you create a plan, you plan from the top down. You start with your vision, right? Your who, what, scale. Then you create a 1-year goal. Then you create quarterly goals. Then you create monthly action items. Then you create weekly to-dos. Your plan isn't, I'd like to grow by 10%. That's not a plan. I'd like to grow my business. That's not a plan. I'd like to double my customers. That's not a plan. A plan is this, big vision all the way down to weekly to-dos in one concise, clear, connected way. Okay? Executing means that when you do your weekly to-dos, it means that you're accomplishing your monthly action items. When you accomplish your monthly action items, it means you hit your quarterly goals. When you hit your quarterly goals, it means you hit your 1-year goal. And when you hit your 1-year goal year over year, it means that you're actually living your big vision. You're making money doing what you love. And so what's happening for so many small businesses is that we're not building good plans, right? We're building business plans, or we're making wishes and hopes and dreams, and our plans are not this detailed. The plan isn't driving us to action, number 1. And then on the other side, if I had $1 for every time a small business owner told me how busy they were, I would be a billionaire. I would be able to retire. We wouldn't have to keep having these conversations. Stop being so busy. Yes, it's okay to have a lot going on. I have a lot going on right now. And I am so disciplined about where my time goes because I understand that I'm in a period of overwhelm. And so if I can't draw a direct correlation between the email I'm about to answer or the meeting I'm about to take and my big goals, I'm not doing it. The way that you reduce overwhelm and the way that you take control of your life back is that you only do behavior, you do activities that are going to be in alignment with your goals. And your actions on a day-to-day basis, you can understand have an impact on your results, okay? This is what is discipline. Everyone asks me, what will make a small business owner successful? What are the characteristics? And everyone assumes I'm gonna say something like, well, they're so charismatic. They've got the biggest vision. They're amazing. Those are not the things. The data that we have shows that the characteristics that result in a business owner succeeding is that they're disciplined, they're focused, they accept our accountability and support. They don't resist it. They get back on the wagon when they fall off. Like they accept our structure. They learn new habits. They take responsibility for the fact that their actions equal results. That's the indicator of success. I wish I could pretend it was more sexy than that, but it's not. Again, this is not a silver bullet. It's just a silver lining. The silver lining is that it is 1,000,000% possible to hit your goals. The reality is it takes a lot of work. So really quickly as we get to the end, how do we help you? If you want our help, what does it look like? What's Tuesday got that has helped her succeed? So we have developed what we call the 5 fingers of the SLAPexperience. Get it? 5 fingers that are all based in behavior change. So going back to those pillars we talked about at the beginning, we know that you need this much support in order to hit your goals. So we have SLAP Center, which is a software platform we've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars into, where you build your plan and you manage it. You track your action items, you track your sales goals. It acts like a light CRM, so you can track your progress towards your sales goals and your chance of hitting your sales goals. And it spits back data to you to tell you if you're on track or off track and what's happening. It spits data to our SLAP manager team, which is essentially like your accountability team. Think of our SLAP managers like the most proactive customer service accountability team. They meet with you twice a month to hold your feet to the fire. Every single day they get a report on your progress, and they reach out to you based on helping you succeed or congratulating you. They're essentially monitoring your progress to hold you accountable, sometimes in spite of yourself. SLAP School, tons of training, webinars. I teach, our leadership team teaches, our SLAP experts, our partners. We're essentially teaching you the skills of how to grow your business. SLAP World, think of it as like this huge community where all we do is try to bring you resources to help you hit your goals. Connections to other business owners, connections to potential customers, connections to marketing opportunities, connections to chances to win a free vacation so you can rest, all of this kind of cool stuff that we're always doing. And then SLAP experts. We go out into the world and we recruit business owners who have started businesses from scratch, who have built them into multi-million-dollar businesses, and who are at a stage in their career where they are willing to give back. And we literally train them in our methodology, and then they're your strategic partner. You meet with them either once a week or once a month, and either one-on-one or in a group. And they offer you strategic input, advice, help, all of the things that you need to really process how to grow your business. That's the story. What I have learned in all of our time is that, every piecemeal thing that we all do as business owners, myself included, a random seminar, a random workshop, a random coach, this program here, this program there, it doesn't give us the kind of concise and contained structure to really hold our feet to the fire around clear goals. And so you have to decide if you're ready. The one thing that I will always say, I'm never going to sell you on having a SLAP, because if you are not ready to be serious, there is nothing I can do for you. If you're not ready to do the work, we will give you the most support you could ever imagine. Literally, we will call you, we will email you, we will support you, we will train you. I mean, we will give you everything possible to help you succeed, but you've got to be ready to do the work. And so, on that note, I know that we only have like 3 minutes left. If anyone has questions, I am happy to take them. I'm just going over into the chat functionality so I can see it. But what I really, really, really would love to hear from you guys is, number one, do you have any questions? Number two, we have a special offer for Tuesday's network, which is that the first 2 people who do sign up for our program, and just so you guys know, the prices, it's cheap. It's a couple $100s a month, between $200 and $500 a month. The average small business owner usually signs up for the $300 a month package, and that includes all the 5 fingers that I just discussed. But what we want to offer is that the first 2 people from Tuesday's network who sign up are going to get 2 free hours of SLAP expert time, which is worth about $500 to help you build the right plan, so that you've got kind of expertise to help you build a really, really, really great plan. So if you're if that feels exciting to you, you can say in right now. You can email the email address on the screen, which is support@smallbizsilverlining.com. We're going to definitely reach out to you after this. We're going to send you this link. Our commitment to you is that you absolutely can access as much as we have for you for free. We want to be there to support you. And if you're ready to get really serious, we've got these programs and we're here for you. Honestly, we want to help you succeed. So we want you to reach out to us. We want you to email us. We want you to ask any questions that you have. And we'll do everything we can to support you. So I'm just looking at the chat. I see that there was a conversation between Tuesday and Kaylin about James. Yes, thanks. Kaylin, I'm glad you thought it was a great webinar. James is asking, hi, Krista, my business travel agency is based in the US, but I've received more success with Canadians than Americans. If I understand you correctly in terms of choosing this ideal client, could I appeal to both types of clients under a holistic category? Like you pointed out, I'm hesitant in excluding US clientele. Right, so that's about your scale, right? So that's about your SLAP statement. So in your case, it sounds like you want to build a global business, or at least a North American business. So of course you can do that. Again, it's about just understanding when you're out there spending your time and your money, what's the scale that you want to focus on? Are you focusing locally, regionally, nationally, globally? So in this case, it sounds like your SLAP statement would be that you sell travel services to Joe on a North American scale. So that's how you would frame it. And then as you process incoming opportunities that would take your time or your money, you would filter it through that filter. The other thing I would though recommend, James, is I would recommend that you actually do that ideal client exercise, because you might be surprised. You might actually find patterns in who your ideal client is and the location that they live in that surprise you. So before you make that decision, I would really make sure you do the ideal client exercise. I see Kevin saying I'm in. Great. So Kevin will be one of the first people. He'll be one of the 2 that get those $500 in free SLAP expert time, which is super exciting to build a really, 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 really good SLAP. All right. So we're at the end of our time together. Bottom line is we're going to send you this webinar. You can watch it again. We're going to follow up if you have any questions. You can email us anytime at that email address, support@smallbizsilverline.com. Our SLAP managers monitor it. You'll get a response within minutes. And if you have any questions, if you need anything about how to grow your business, we'll help you. If we can help you, we will. And if we can connect you to someone else, we'll do that too. So just know that we're here for you. We want you to grow. And just a reminder, Bill, when you take your business seriously, when you start to understand this and put this type of structure around you, your growth is entirely possible. So whatever it is that you really want to accomplish, I guarantee you it's possible. I guarantee it. The only thing you have to figure out is how serious you are, how committed you are, and then you need to put structure and support around you, whether it's us or someone else. Do it, do it, do it. Please, change the statistics with us, grow your business, turn this into something where you're making lots of money doing what you love so that you can have a bigger impact. That is my challenge to you. And if we can help you do that, we would love to. All right. Thank you guys. And thank you, Tuesday, for being a model of a business owner who is taking her stuff seriously and who brought us all together today. I really appreciate it.
Yay. No, thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys.